Well, hello. It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. So, let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I'd invite you to subscribe. And hey, got a couple of topics we're going to bring up today. We're going to talk a little bit about paper. We're going to talk a little bit about the live stream that didn't happen. We're going to talk a little bit about... shoot, I forgot my second thing on the list. Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about spam email. We're going to talk about why there are now dates on my links to my pen videos. And then we're just going to talk a little bit about some recent news stuff that happened. And I'm just going to mention, I'm cold. I actually, this morning I got up, put on my usual shorts and t-shirt. I have a very cool t-shirt on under this that I'd planned for this video. But, you know, when I'm sitting on the couch and I see goosebumps on my legs, I'm just like, yeah. So I'm actually wearing pants and a long sleeve shirt, which is not my normal summer outfit at all. Yes, the windows are open. It's summer. I want fresh air in here. So if I'm going to have fresh air in here, I gotta wear clothes. So, before anybody thinks I'm some kind of a nudist, let's dive into the pens. Alright, so these are the pens from left to right. Sorry, no rainbows this week, but I do think I have a lot of colors except for purple, because like I said last week, purple isn't in my pen collection. But I have Aurora 88. I have a Platinum 3776 with a koi finish. I have the Flaro. I have a Platinum 3776 with a sharp finish. Yeah, apparently that's how you pronounce it. I have the Pelikan 400 NN. I have the Montegrappa Fortuna Barcelona Mosaico. Yay. I have the Centropen 10016. And finally, another Platinum 3776. This was controversial last week, but we're going to see it for one more week. I did order a replacement, which we'll talk about later. But it's not here yet, so we're just going to go with my Cognitive Surplus Seafood Flavored Journal. Before I go too far, I just want to mention, since it came up last week, so this is last week's writing sample. This is the facing page from, the week before. So this is the back of last week's writing sample. And here is the page where I'm going to write today. So yeah, there was a lot of bleeding and feathering. Okay, so the first pen is this Aurora 88. This beautiful bright orange finish. This is one of the pens that you bought me. I was very interested in the time at what they had for a flex nib. So here we go. Of course, we can see the feathering that you all were talking about last week. The ink in it is Lamy Bronze. And we'll do a nice little swatcher doodle here. And yeah, feathery. My next pen got to witness a disaster. So, of course, the beautiful koi finish, a celluloid. You can see the seam right here where the celluloid was wrapped around something. Broad nib. So it got to witness a disaster because I filled it with this ink because I just wanted to write with a red ink. And then this ink tipped over, fell cap first onto my floor. Of course, the cap shattered. Bunch of ink poured out. I ran for paper towels. It took a little doing to get it all off my floor. So the local grocery store sells some alcohol disinfecting wipes, and those seemed to do the trick very well once I got, as much as I could with water. I wasn't sure if I'd have to go for the bleach or what, but I think it helps that I have a laminate floor. Okay, this next pen is my Flaro. It's a Romanian pen. Not, probably not as classy as the others, and it needs some nib smoothing, but perfectly good pen. It kind of reminds me of the Parker Vector. The ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner, Helianthus. Which last week in my flag was supposed to be my yellow. True yellow inks are pretty miserable because they're almost impossible to read. Something like Private Reserve Buttercup, you can't read that. Beautiful color, just not legible. This is my Platinum 3776 with the music nib. I got it in the sharp blue finish, which is supposed to be the same color as the Chartres Cathedral in France. The windows, not the cathedral, sorry. Make that clear. Of course, with a music nib, you get a very broad line. It's like a stub, but with tipping. And usually, not all, but many have two ink channels, two slits in the nib, rather than just one. I may wish I'd made the swatch bigger. So especially here where I did the horizontal and vertical strokes, you can see what the music nib does. Then we get to have Pelikan 400 NN. Sort of the culmination of the evolution of the Pelikan 400 model in the 1950s. They tried several piston designs. I guess there was a change in the nibs. I don't remember anything about changes in feeds, and just a change in the general shape. I think it's an extra fine, but I'm not sure. The ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner. Alt-goldgrün. Which, sad to say, I went to fill another pen with it because this one's getting close to empty. Couldn't quite get enough ink to fill it because the ink was so low in the bottle. So sad day. I mean, good that I got one more bottle out of my collection, but sad that it had to be that one. But I do have permission from one of my viewers to buy a new bottle. So we'll see. But I'm going to use some other colors in that family first. So this is the Montegrappa Fortuna. And the finish is the Barcelona Mosaico. Just a very nice resin. It's actually a comfortable pen to hold. It's the only Montegrappa I own. Haven't used it in a long time, though. I remember buying a broad nib at the time, but it looks more like a medium. And the ink in it is Callifolio Violet. I have, several violet inks. So, decided to start using them up. You know, it's a color family that's really not been in pens in use and in rotation for a while, so I just decided it needs to be. So we'll start with this one, which honestly is my least favorite. I like the brand, just not that color. Then we get the sexiest pen here. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Look at that chatoyancy. I absolutely love Centropen's celluloids. I don't know a nib size. It looks like a fine or a medium. The ink in it is Pelikan 4001 Blue Black. Which, fun fact, the 4001 Violet is one of my favorite violets. I'm going to compare it to the Dea Trementis, so I'm probably going to have Dea Trementis next after I use up the Callifolio. But also kind of curious. I turned out I was surprised last night. I was down in my stored ink bottles to find some replacements for, Fox and so on, and I just was really surprised to see I had a bottle of Kaveco Violet, or is it Kaveco Purple? One or the other. Ooh.
12 seconds later.
Okay, just saw water coming in window that was by some books, so had to close that window. Because, yeah, it's raining. Not that I'm complaining. And then we have a Platinum 3776 with the Yamanaka finish. They've done a lot of interesting finishes here. It's one drawback to a demonstrator. But, I don't know, I haven't bought one in a long time. As they've gotten more interesting, their prices have gone up, and that's caused my interest to go down. Plus, I have all their nibs except for like a extra fine or an ultra extra fine. So it's like, why? You'd just be buying a pen for a finish. Now, this is a pen to buy for this soft medium nib. I like the soft fine better, but the soft medium is plenty fun. So this is Noodler's Black Swan and English Rose. And it is playing very well in this pen. Usually I'll put this pen in their soft fine nib, but, putting it in the soft medium really lets it show off its color better. In fact, this is the second fill of it. So I'm happy with it. So those are the pens and inks I've been using this week. The hot coffee tastes good today. Actually trying a new brand of coffee, so we'll see how it goes. This is the first time with it. It's a portrait coffee, if you're interested. It tastes good. It's not the dark roast I've been getting lately, but, if it's higher quality coffee, I guess it doesn't need to be. But anyway, first thing I wanted to mention, I put dates on all the pen reviews, because I always put links to my pens that I talk about down below in the video description. And I noticed on a couple of them that Wow, you reviewed that a long time ago. Let's see, what's the oldest one that's down there? Yeah, the oldest one down there is a Platinum 3776 with the soft medium, so that was the last pen that I reviewed. October 24th, 2015. Now, I'm not 100% sure when I started doing first impressions videos, but I started doing them because, it was like, how long do you keep a pen before you do a video on it? Do you keep it a week? Do you do it when you first get it? The compromise I eventually settled on was doing a first impression, inking it up, and then comments after a few weeks of using it, and hopefully showing it in pens in use with a different ink. And, but then I thought, I'll revisit these pens. And a general rule I kind of settled on was 5 years. And clearly I haven't been doing that great of a job at that, because almost every pen, the only pen down there that doesn't deserve a revisit is that Romanian Flaro pen. So, anyway, I'm going to start putting dates on these, not so much for you, but for me, to say, hey, squirrel, get yourself a video filmed here while you got this pen inked up. So, I'm going to start doing that. That'll actually make it easier, especially when I have busy weeks like this week. I'm taking 2 classes, gardening and doing school stuff, and the pen video just kind of slipped by. Pens in use didn't really slip by. I planned to do it, and then I wanted to use the new notebook, but it hasn't arrived yet. So anyway, by the time I got over that, it was past squirrel time, so I thought, well, we'll do it next week. But anyway, so that's why I have the dates. Another thing down there, I did a brief video. I didn't show anything. I'm not going to show anything this week either, but I did a brief video last week because going through my comments on my on my pens in use, I said, holy cow, there's a lot of the same comment. They're all saying, hey, this paper really feathers it kind of. And you're right. I knew it in the last notebook, although it seems to be worse in this notebook. So I went and did some research. I went on the Cognitive Surplus website, and I put the link down in the video description here again. I found out that they have 2 different types of paper. This one, and then there's one that they actually have in notebooks with blank paper for sketching that's higher quality, that they recommend for the better fountain pens. So I ordered one. I think that was Saturday when I ordered it. Hoped it would be here by Friday, but it's not. So I would assume next week's pens in use it'll be here. Shipping to edge of the earth, North Dakota, just sometimes takes a little longer. So look forward to that. I'll address that when it happens. If I get it before I do my mid-weekly video, I might actually film a video comparing the 2 papers. If not, it'll be the next week. So, whatever. But curious to see what their new paper's like, and I'm going to have to get out some sopping wet pens to really test it. On another topic, this applies to us all, but it might be of slightly more interest to YouTubers. I'm going to actually switch over to a pre-recorded video here that I'm going to insert. I've gotten this email several times, and all I can think of is that they want me to click one of their links. So I'm going to open up my email here. So now you see that I'm using Camtasia. So open up the email. I'm just going to stretch it out just so we're not distracted. And I have here a legitimate email from YouTube. So YouTube creators, it's got a UC. No, it's a YC. We scroll down. It's got some legitimate contact information. The YouTube emblem, the Google stuff. Just everything is good. And another thing that I can do here, just to satisfy myself, right here where it says YouTube creators. Now, I don't know if other email programs can do this, but I can do it with my Apple Mail. I can see the email that it actually came from, no reply at youtube.com. So I'm pretty sure it's legitimate. There's even a reply to. Although, when it says no reply at youtube.com, kind of questionable. But I can find the same stuff on the YouTube website. Now let's take a look at the other email. So YouTube support from Google Docs. And we've got scary stuff here. New activity in the following document. Ooh, copyright warning. And then I click on that. And that's quite a bunch of gobbledygook. Now, that could be a legitimate thing, but I don't know. So let's see who it's from. Comments-no reply at docs.google.com. Who's that? What's the subject? Copyright warning.pdf. Look at the subject. Copyright warning.pdf. New activity in the following document. Copyright warning.pdf. Exclamation point for you. Comments, YouTube support. And then at waskysquirrel.gmail.com, which is my email address. So what do we have here under this open? Again, I can preview without actually opening. Guess what? I do have a Google account. And what's this one give me with a preview only, because I'm not going to open it? Huh. And then down here, we do have the Google stuff. And then there's this down thingy. Sure looks legitimate. I guess. I don't know where Google's located. And then it has... You're subscribed to notifications on copyright warning. Change what Google sends you. Oh, Google Drive encountered an error. If I go to my Google account, I can't find any reference to this anywhere. So, is it spam? Or is it real? So I broke it off there because I didn't want you seeing any of me log in or anything, but nothing here on my notifications where I went to the main part of my account. Actually, I don't want to click on personal info in front of you. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. But nothing there. The security recommendations, nothing. There's nothing here about copyright. Well, let's see on the YouTube page. Nothing here. Oh, look, see what's happening at VidCon. They sent me an email about that. And then some other stuff. Over here, there is a copyright section. Nice, you're all caught up. Removal requests. This is one where my stuff had been stolen, so the uploader actually deleted it. No messages, other than to tell me, again, I had 2 videos that were stolen. Both of them I've dealt with. Nothing there. Archive. The Pen Fan series. Ooh, I've got a new one there. The Pen Fan series, Apple Boom Pennon. Well, I was in that video. So, books by their covers, Wasky and Peer Chatnibs. Those were collaborations. So they both would have a pretty good match. And then this, I'm going to have to find out what this Aftermix Mendazi is, but it contains Driving to Bismarck, 7 Types of Propaganda. So I'll have to investigate that after we're done here, but no notifications about that other one. So methinks it's a spam, but what do you think? So quick update on the other one that I couldn't figure out. So yeah, there is nothing of mine stolen. I used to use this title for a couple of videos. It's an Apple iMovie title. The music is not my music. There is nothing I can find here that's stolen from my videos. So that must be why I put it in the archive. So that's one of the things you have to watch out for is spam. Is sometimes it looks legitimate and you're left not knowing. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to somebody, just seeing that email. And if it's not spam and I'm wrong, just somebody let me know so I can do something about it. But everything about it just reads me wrong. I'll tell you a horrible story about spam. So I first got this, I don't know, years ago. It was before the pandemic. But anyway, yeah, how's my life become before and after pandemic? But anyway, years ago, it's an iPhone 8. And I kept getting these calls from Verizon, and they wouldn't tell me what they wanted or anything. They, very cryptic messages. So I finally answered one day, and this guy was really, I'll be honest, he was very unprofessional. And I finally said, I think this is spam. And he says, well, you just wait and find out. And turns out it was a legitimate call, but what bothered me is he's calling me, and then he's asking me what my phone number is. I don't know why. I don't know how all that works. I wasn't told that this would be happening, but my phone ended up getting disconnected. So I had a huge runaround for hours with Verizon trying to get reconnected. So, anyway, spent hours. I think part of the story might have blipped out there because the camera just decided to stop. Don't know why. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, the Verizon thing. So anyway, I did a big run around on the phone with them. Couldn't use my cell phone. Had to use the school's phone because I'd gotten rid of my landline by then. But anyway, so big, long run around with them. It turned out that, yeah, it was a legitimate call. He didn't make it sound legitimate. So you got to be careful of that thing too, but a lot of them, they're just not legitimate. And they're not all as obvious as you get these emails. I'm Mrs. Matanga, and I'm married to a Liberian prince, and I have $10 million that I'm trying to move to America, and I need somewhere safe to put it. My friends recommended you. Could I have your bank account number and PIN so I can deposit it in your account? Those are obviously spam. But they're getting cleverer because they know we're cleverer, and they're starting to send more out that look, honestly, like the real thing. I think I figured out what's wrong with the camera. This seems to want to go to sleep. And I noticed that every time it does that, the camera shuts down. So we'll plug in the charger. It may not have been the camera. It may have been the phone. So anyway, I hope that's useful to somebody. I'm going to move to something kind of tragic. So I did a little quote research. There's a quote that goes something like, 1 death is a tragedy, 1 million deaths is a statistic. Sometimes it gets attributed to Stalin. I posted the article that talks about the people who did the whole research into the source of the quote. So yeah, I'm glad there's people out there researching the origins of some famous quotes. But anyway, I thought it applied to something that happened recently in the news. There have been 2 stories in the news about death at sea. One of them was about 5 rich people. Okay, it's definitely when the screensaver comes on, but the screensaver keeps wanting to come on, and I don't know why. Why does it just go blank on me? I have done this for several years with this camera and phone, and all I can think of is the most recent update doesn't let it override this. I'm not angry. So I'll start that story over. So anyway, there was 2 stories recently about death at sea. One of them involved 5 people in a submarine, and the other involved 150 people that died. And guess which one has gotten wall-to-wall coverage? Now, you could think there's several different possible reasons for that. There's the possibility that the 5 people were rich. Another thing, rich enough that they're paying, what was it, $200,000 a pop to go on this submarine, to go look at a sunken ship. Of course, it's a famous sunken ship, and a lot of people died on this famous sunken ship, the Titanic. So that's a possibility for why people are so interested, just because of the Titanic connection. The other one, the 150 people, happened off the coast of Libya. So, American media doesn't have a huge presence in Libya. They used to be more entertained by Libya when Muammar Gaddafi was the leader. They become less interested since then. It could be the racial makeup of the people on the submarine versus the ship. There have been a lot of different things proposed. Maybe it's more comfortable to stay in the motels and hotels where you would report on the submarine than it is where you would report on the 150 people who died. So I don't know, but I just wanted to offer a possibility. Maybe with 5 people you can name them. You can delve into their backgrounds. You can find out who they are. And of course, they're rich billionaire types, so it's even easier to find out who they are and read all about them. Keeping the screensaver off is working. But I have wondered if the reason is a little bit less nefarious. Just the simple fact that it's 150 people. How do you personalize that? And you can't. I mean, you probably know 150 people. I certainly do, but I teach in a public school, so I better know more than a handful of names. I just kind of wondered if that maybe is the reason why the 150 just didn't get the attention. Nothing nefarious about it, just the simple fact that there's so many. And yeah, probably harder to research. These are all refugees. So harder to get their background, but anyway, I'm a little more willing to let people off the hook on that because I honestly think that how do you personalize that? Oh, there was an earthquake in Florida. Okay, if it kills 2 or 3 people, we can do a little piece on each of the people who died. Okay, there probably won't be an earthquake in Florida, but hurricane in Florida. We could do a little piece on, this is Grandma Wenzel who died, and, so on. Hurricane kills a couple hundred people. It's tragic. Look at the destruction. And we're not going to zoom in on people unless one of them happens to be famous. So I'm not sure that it's as nefarious, the lack of coverage for the 150, than it is the simple fact that it's tragic, but it's hard to personalize it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. I did want to mention one other thing about it. Part of it came up from James Cameron about the submarine and how safe it was, or not safe. My hope is that the 5 did die quickly. I had this idea of being down there in the cold, in the dark, out of reach of any kind of rescue vehicle, and just waiting for your air to run out. So it sounds like it was much quicker than that, and I guess if you're going to die, my personal goal is to die quickly, not have a long lingering death. It just kind of spooky. We have to have these people going out on the frontiers, trying new things, doing new things. That's what space travel is. I'm a science fiction guy, so of course I'm into space travel. It's been a human thing to explore, to take risks. There's taking risks. There's taking stupid risks. And you have to ask, did the people running this submersible possibly take some stupid risks? I'm not an expert, so I don't know. But, yeah, you have to balance that finding new knowledge with what's an appropriate risk to take. And sometimes the stupid risks pay off, and you've discovered something new and done something amazing. Other times, the stupid risk gets you killed. Or gets other people killed. So, anyway, just something to think about, I guess. The last topic I put here is, I've... Oh, it's behind my light. I don't really want to pick it out over the light. But I have a book that I reviewed, I guess it's been probably 2 years now. It was called Cadillac Desert, and it was all about water in the West. And actually, there's a paragraph in it that mentions a dam that's south of the town where I live. But mostly it was about how precarious the water situation is in the American Southwest. We recently had a renegotiation of the water rights among several of the states that are affected by the low level in the Colorado River. But apparently that didn't affect everybody, because there was a large area of land down there known as the Navajo Nation, which is a reservation of the Navajo people. And they were not given water rights, no real guarantees. I'm going to bring up the article here. I have the link in the video description. I was going to write myself better notes, but then I didn't. But I know the important pieces. So for one thing, a third of the people living on that reservation do not have running water. In the United States of America in 2023, 1/3 of the people living on that reservation do not have running water. They bring it in barrels, they have it in tanks or whatever, but they don't truly have running water. In this case, what the tribe was claiming is that it's the federal government's legal duty to help figure out their future water needs. But in the 5-4 decision, the justices of the Supreme Court said that an 1868 treaty had no such provisions. And of course, the majority opinion was the conservative wing, with Justice Brett Kavanaugh saying that the agreement set aside water for use on the reservation, which crosses 3 states, but it did not create a duty for the federal government to help the tribe secure that water. So they're guaranteed the water, but not to secure it. I'm going to quote here. The 1868 treaty reserved necessary water to accomplish the purpose of the Navajo reservation, Kavanaugh wrote, but the treaty did not require the United States to take affirmative steps to secure water for the tribe. Anyway, Neil Gorsuch, one of the conservative justices, for those of you not in the U.S., wrote this. He wrote that the majority both misunderstands the tribe's claims and applies an incorrect legal framework in making its decision. The tribe has tried different legal avenues to gain the assistance it needs and work to quantify its water rights, he wrote. Where do the Navajo go from here? Gorsuch wrote in his opinion. To date, their efforts to find out what water rights the United States holds for them have produced an experience familiar to any American who has spent time at the Department of Motor Vehicles. The Navajo have waited patiently for anyone to help them, only to be told repeatedly that they have been standing in the wrong line and must try another. And then the article goes on to talk about the COVID-19 experience in the reservation and the lack of water in the reservation. And then it talks about how in some parts of the reservation the water rights have been quantified, but in Arizona, which is where most of the reservation is, it's not quantified and settled. So, anyway, the thing about this is you need water. Now, I'm lucky. You can probably tell that rained a little bit while I was filming this. We've had 2 inches of rain this week. We've had a lot of rain. My parents were telling me where they live in Pennsylvania, it's typical to get, I can't remember if they said 4 or 6 inches in June. Well, here in southwest North Dakota, we're at about that 6-inch point, I think. We've had a lot of rain. It's very green here, and that's not normal for us because we're a dry area. But anyway, my point is we depend on water. I've been holding water in my hand. Yes, it's got coffee in it and it's hot, but it's water. I took a shower. That's water. I'm washing dishes right now because I have a dishwasher. That's water. When you live in a water-rich area, it's easy to take it for granted. But like it says in the Navajo reservation, 1/3 of households still have no running water. And when you're in a dry desert area, suddenly the idea of wasting water is horrifying. And I think the American Southwest has got a scary situation, and this is just one more symptom of it. And to another point, that just shows the importance of reading books. Why you shouldn't be banning them. Because would I know or care about the American Southwest, the Navajo culture, the whole water situation, if it hadn't been explained to me in a book? I don't live there. Maybe I'd have caught something on the news. So, to a theme I keep coming back to on this channel, we don't want to ban books. There are ideas in them that we may not like. I mean, nobody's going to be banning Cadillac Desert, but you may not like an idea that's in a book, but it really exposes you to a different world, and especially for our younger people, I think that's so important. And the more we know, and the more we know about others, the more empathetic and better people we are. And isn't that what we want for our young people, is for them to grow up to be empathetic and better than we are? So, anyway, I'll leave you there. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And I brought up a bunch of topics ranging from paper to submarines to the death of 150 refugees, to water in the Southwest, to the situation in the Navajo Nation. Feel free to comment on any of them. I can't really think of one specific one that's jumping out at me. Out of the videos you saw, out of the pens I did this week, is there one in particular you'd like me to revisit first? Let us know down in the comments. So I want to thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later.